A lot has changed with the tactical side of ranking high on Google, but the principles, the main things that you need to do to rank higher on Google are still exactly the same. And if anything, today those principles are more important than ever before. So in this video, I'm going to go through how you can rank higher on Google and go through the main things you need to keep in mind, the main principles to keep in mind so that you can rank higher on Google from today and into the future. So principle number one is to have a strong SEO friendly website. So it doesn't matter what you do, but if Google can't actually crawl and find your website, no matter how good your website is, and no matter how well your website should actually be ranking on Google, if Google can't crawl it, it's not going to rank at the top of Google. So you need to make sure that you have a search engine friendly website before you think about doing anything else. So how can you make sure you have a search engine friendly website? Well, there's a lot of different factors at play, and I'm not going to go through a very long comprehensive list. You can go to Google if you want to find a list of every little thing that you need to do to rank higher on Google. But what I will do is go through some of the important ones that I've seen people tend to miss out. So these are the things I recommend you keep in mind. And as I go through this checklist, and all you need to do as I go through these different questions is see if you can answer yes to all of these questions, or at least as many of these questions as you can to rank higher on Google, and make sure that you have a search engine friendly website. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have a responsive website. So does your website adapt to the different screen resolutions that people might be using, such as if they're on a mobile device or if they're on a tablet or something like that? So a quick and easy way for you to see if your website is responsive is to just open it up in your web browser and then drag the screen or the web browser window and see if it changes the appearance of your website in a way that everything looks good. If you start making the screen or your web browser screen look smaller and then everything starts looking really messed up, then you don't have a search engine friendly responsive website. And having a responsive website is something that you need to have, especially because Google is playing a lot more or giving a lot more importance to mobile friendly websites. So have a look at your own website and see, does it respond to the different screen resolutions that you're using? Or you can just open it up on your mobile phone and see how it looks. If it looks good, chances are it's responsive. If it's not, then you'll need to fix that and make it responsive. The second thing to ask yourself is the website that you have crawlable by Google? So in other words, can Google index and find the different pages on your website? So a really quick and easy way to find out if you can do this is just go to Google, type in site : and then your domain name and see if any pages come up. If you can see all of the pages on your website, or at least most of them, then chances are your website can be indexed and crawled by Google. If you don't see your website there, then there's an issue there and Google is having a problem with finding your website. So it doesn't matter what else you do, you're not going to rank higher on Google. So a really quick and easy way to fix that, if you are having any problems, is to just install the Google Search Console. And that's free to install and it's from Google, and you can install that on your website, and that will tell you if there's any issues that are preventing Google from actually ranking or indexing your website, and then that way you know what to do to fix it. The next thing you need to do, the third question to ask yourself, is do you have a secure website? So do you have an SSL on your website? So a quick and easy way to find out if you do is if you go to HTTPS and then type in the rest of your website. If your website actually works with HTTPS and not just HTTP on its own, then you have a secure website. The next question to ask yourself is, have you optimized the SEO metadata or the meta tags on your website, on the different pages of your website? So you should have unique meta tags and metadata on all the pages of your website. And most website builders, whether you're using WordPress or something else, will allow you to edit the meta tags and the metadata on the different pages of your website. And if you're not sure how, just reach out to whatever company you're using to maybe host your website to ask them how you can edit the meta tags and the metadata of your website. The next question to ask yourself is if you have a blog. Does your website have a blog? And more importantly, is that blog actually updated regularly? Because having a blog and having a lot of content on your website is definitely something that will help you rank higher on Google. Now, principle number 2 is to create content on a regular basis that answers your potential clients' questions. And this is super important because the more questions you answer, or the more different search phrases or different types of content that you have on your website answering these questions, the more chances are or the more chances you'll have of ranking higher on Google for all these different keywords. Now, how many times have you been on maybe a sales call, or you're talking with a potential client or an existing client, and they've asked you a question? Now, this is a really good thing. If someone asks you a question, that means chances are very high that there are other people online also asking the same question, and they're searching on Google for the answer to that question. So if you actually answer that question on your website, there's a very high possibility that you can then rank higher on Google for that specific search phrase, or for those questions that people are typing in. And the best part is, if that question directly relates to a service that you actually provide people, there's a very high chance they'll also convert into clients. Now, another advantage of answering your potential clients' questions on your website is that whenever you target these sort of long tail keywords, because you're targeting a pretty long search phrase or a pretty long question most of the time, it usually has less competition or less search competition, and it's usually easier to rank higher on Google for those specific search phrases because you're answering a very specific question. So you'll usually be able to rank a little bit quicker for those different questions, and at the same time get higher and more conversions because you're answering a very specific question to a problem that your potential clients have. And then if they find you as the one that gives them that solution, they're also more likely to trust you and work with you because you're the one that has helped them out with a problem that they have. And principle number 3 is to get other websites linking back to your website. Now, this one is probably the most challenging one. How can you get other websites linking back to your website? Well, first of all, Google uses some sort of voting system, in a way, I guess you could call it, to decide which websites to rank first on Google. And if you imagine every website linking back to another website as a vote, the more votes or the more links a website has, the higher it will rank on Google. Now, this is a very simplified version of how it works, but it's just to give you an idea of how having links going back to your website can actually help you rank higher on Google. Now, at the same time, it's a little bit more complicated than that, and also not all links are the same. Some links from some websites are worth more than links from other websites. So there's two things you need to keep in mind. There's the quality of the links that you have, and there's also the quantity of the links that you have. So they're the two things you need to get. You need to get a good quantity and a good quality amount of links going back to your website. And then the more of those links you have, the higher, in theory, you can rank on Google. So again, how do you get these links going back to your website? Well, there are literally hundreds of different tactics that you can use. And you can just go to Google and again, type in something like link building strategies and tactics, and you'll find a whole host of them. But what I want to do is not give you a long list of different things to do. I just want to simplify it and give you maybe one or two things that you can do right now that will help you rank higher on Google and get you more links going back to your website. So one of the main strategies that I've used is simply leverage different strategic partners, clients, or suppliers that you already know and that you already work with, that already have a website and already have a blog, and then speak to those people and leverage your relationship to say, hey, I'm working on this article, it's about, XYZ topic, and hopefully try and make the topic something that would be interesting to their website visitors, so there's value in them having that piece of content on their website, and just ask them, would you be open to me writing this article, or maybe even creating a video, creating some sort of content on your website, and then in return, all you want is a link going back to your own website if people want to learn more. So most of the time, a lot of the people that you already work with, if you already have good relationships with these people, there's a high chance that they're going to be like, yeah, sure, go ahead, you can write that content or that article on my website. And in that way, you give them value by providing them with good quality content, and you get some value because you're going to have a link going back to your website, which again, in Google's eyes, is like a little vote going to your website saying that your website is good, and it will just help you rank higher on Google. So that's just one simple strategy that you can do, but there's many, many more you can use. But again, the principle is you need to get other websites linking back to your website to rank higher on Google. Now, just a word of caution with this one. If you are writing other articles on other people's websites and linking back to your website, you want to be very careful how you do this and which websites you actually write on. I don't recommend that you write articles or guest posts on just any website, especially those websites that let anyone write content. Usually, a lot of the time, if they let anyone write content, there's going to be some articles and some links on that website that are not very good quality. And in some cases, if you have links going back to your website on websites that are really low quality, that can actually hurt your search engine results. So instead, I recommend you only focus on writing content on websites with people or businesses that you already have some sort of relationship with, because chances are that the quality of that website will be much higher versus another website that just lets anyone post whatever they like on it. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Those 3 principles to rank higher on Google. So number 1, have a search engine friendly website. Number 2, make sure that you are creating content on a regular basis that answers your potential clients' questions. And number 3, get other websites linking back to your website by leveraging your strategic partners, your clients, and your suppliers, so that you can write some content on their website linking back to your website. Now, the final thing to just keep in mind, if you are implementing some sort of SEO strategy for your business to rank higher on Google, is that you need to be patient. This isn't the type of strategy where you get instant results, okay? Normally it takes time to build up your search engine rankings, and typically it usually takes at least as a minimum 6 to 12 months to start ranking higher on Google, sometimes even more than that depending on your competition and depending on how much content you're creating. So you need to be patient. And if you want quick results, then what you need to do instead is use some sort of paid advertising channel like Facebook ads. With that, you're actually paying money to get your ads or your message in front of people right now. And in that way, you can get leads, you can get appointments, you can get clients, you can get all of that stuff much, much quicker. But to do that, you're going to have to pay money to those channels to actually start getting results quicker. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to do it the organic way or the free way, Google is a great strategy. And even if you're already running ads, I still recommend doing the Google and the SEO stuff anyway, because you can just start working on it in the background, and then 6 to 12 months down the line, you can start to reap the rewards of all your hard work. And in the long term, it's a very, very good channel to start generating leads on, because in the long term, once you're getting results from Google, you don't have to spend any money to get any leads or to acquire a client, because you're getting people who are just searching Google for free and they're just going to your website. And the second thing is that you don't really have to spend any more time to generate these leads. With Facebook ads, you need to monitor your ads, and you need to keep checking it and maybe do little tweaks and split testing to get better and better results over time. With Google, once you're ranking at the top of Google, you just start getting leads and you start getting clients every single month consistently without needing to spend any more money and without needing to spend any more time. So yes, it does take some time in the beginning and some work to get it all up and running, but the results are definitely worth it in the long term. So again, you've just got to be patient if you're implementing some sort of SEO strategy. If you do want faster results with Google, then I would also recommend looking into YouTube, because YouTube is a great way to start ranking higher on both YouTube and Google, which are two of the biggest search engines in the world. So what I've seen from having my own YouTube channel is that usually for some keyword phrases, you can get quicker results or rank higher in Google, in fact, for certain search phrases, just because you're creating video content. So if you want to get faster results from your SEO and from Google, then look into maybe doing YouTube videos. And what you can do is you can create some content on your website, and you can use the same content and turn that content into a video as well. So that way you can rank for both YouTube and Google. And a lot of the time you can even rank on Google for your YouTube video and also for your website. And you can basically be maybe number 1 and number 2 in Google at the same time. So it's almost like no matter where people go, they're going to find you and your content. So anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully that's helpful in helping you be able to rank higher on Google, both now and into the future. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about how to rank higher on Google and how to generate leads, not just on Google, but also on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well, then I highly recommend you check out the free masterclass training that I've recorded that goes through how to create a strategy that will enable you to generate predictable leads and appointments every single month with consistency, with predictability in your business. And I go through step by step what you need to do. So I'll include a link in the description to that free masterclass so you can check that out. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.